SAMASAMA means all together, coming together, but the theme for this year is Bayanihan, which is the spirit of community. Bayanihan comes from a Filipino tradition of helping people move their houses, like physically lifting people's houses. Because bayan, like your peoples, they're helping you move, literally. Yeah. Even though this is a celebration of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, that we open it up to other people of color. We opened the call and we selected the ones that we thought would fit. If it looks good, then that looks good. Or if the theme is, if it matches the theme, let's bring it in.
Les actually found me on Instagram and she asked if I was interested in submitting work for the show, and I was like, yeah, this is totally awesome. Like, I never heard of an Asian American Pacific Islander show that was like so cohesive and like connected different artists from around America. So I was really excited to be a part of it, and I was like, I definitely have to do this. This painting is titled Khadija and is Bangladeshi American, and she's very into like vibrant colors, especially pink, and I wanted to like show that in her expression and also like in the background and with the flowers. So the lilies in the front are the national flower of Bangladesh, and the fish in here, it's a fried fish called ilish, I think. And she said that Bangladeshis are known for eating this meal, and it's very like typical that like they get made fun of all the time. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna include it and put a little halo around it to celebrate this meal. And so ultimately this is like her cultural portrait and how I'm celebrating her.
I think it's pretty, I think everybody will say, well, we need it, just for the sake of being the platform for it. But I think it's easier for me to answer that question just based on our opening night and the amount of people that really came, like really showed up to support the artists, to learn about new artists, be with friends in honor of AAPI. I think, where we grew up here in the DMV, it's extremely diverse here, but there's a lot of events surrounding AAPI.
Part of my work is outreach to the community about the topics that I work on, which is nuclear policy, how to protect nuclear materials so they're not used in weapons and other nefarious means. And it's been a very interesting journey because I also do this kind of outreach to community to think about nuclear history, nuclear art, because I think that's a more interesting entry point to the issues that I work on a daily basis. And so I decided that once I got to know the artist community here in DC, that there's actually an opportunity to fuse the two. And so this is essentially my way of experimenting and seeing whether I can bring some of the policy experience that I have that is very difficult to talk to my friends and family about, and just basically using the arts as a channel to convey or communicate some of these complicated issues that I deal with at work. This is actually something that I recently created. This is a collaboration with publisher, Passenger Pigeon Press, and it's done by this amazing woman, Tammy Nguyen, and this is essentially an art book talking about mushrooms and sunflowers and how they absorb radiation. And in some ways, they are really this very interesting symbolism of survival and revival after a nuclear incident.
So I got connected to this event via a friend who's very involved in the art community. She is actually a teacher at Freedom High School in Loudoun, and I wanted to really be a part of this because this show is promoting Asian American artists, and it would just be nice to be involved in the community. So my piece is called Her Lunar Gaze Circumvents My Hopeless Orbit. With this piece, it was supposed to really just highlight that sense of hopelessness in which, when people usually graduate from college and they don't know exactly what they want to do, they're just kind of meandering around. To promote the Asian American Pacific Islander interest, I feel it is really important since our whole world is catered towards like the Western narrative. I think it's more important that as Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, that we promote our art through our own lens. So it's not some cultural appropriated, like exoticized version of what we are.
Hi, I'm Jamila Zara Felton of the Beat of Blossoms. I'm an artist, librarian, and educator. I'm really happy to be a part of SAMASAMA. The exhibit's gorgeous, and it's great to meet people who are interested in art and inclusion and self-expression beyond barriers. And today we were collaging. We were learning color theory, design principles, and making mixed media collage together, a small group of us. And it was all in support of not only the organizations that will benefit from the sales of the artwork, but for Asian American Pacific Islander. So we're collaging today. We are using paper, scissors, and we are deconstructing images from vintage books, magazines, and other pieces of paper. And we're putting them together, creating really dope compositions, and creating new ideas through paper, cutting, and glue. So that's what we're doing with collage. When we were collaging today and experimenting in the spirit of unity and working together, obviously we were using scissors, but a lot of the images we used came from magazines, essays, National Geographic, vintage books. I'm a librarian, so we were using old books and ripping those up and making sure that as we experimented, we looked at color, we looked at shape, we looked at deconstruction, and making really great compositions, and so decorative paper was also one of the elements that we used.
I already knew right away that, of course, it's like, why would I not? This space has always been a place for other artists or for anybody else doing pop-ups, so whether it's food, clothing, art. You know, I've always been welcome to just be the space for it because I believe that's what makes the space. But when it came to SAMASAMA and an AAPI month, I already knew that I wanted to be the space for it.
My group is Cambodian American Heritage, and the performance that you just saw was called Robam. We wanted to illustrate the Cambodian royal when they dress up, and we wanted to illustrate that today with the quick performance. I came from Cambodia at an early age. In order for me to know my heritage, I learned through dance and music. And I always expose my American friends to where I'm from because it's really important for you as American to understand another culture. And also, it's good for us to be proud of where we're from also at the time. And the art itself was forbidden for anybody to see, only in the royal court. But nowadays, it's opened the door to everybody to come and learn and can see. And also, it's the national art of Cambodia.
You know, the artists are already doing the work. You know, that's not stopping them. Whether there are platforms for AAPI-specific folks of color or galleries that highlight AAPI, you know, background. But we were saying, hey, submit your work, come through, and people showed up for it. So that alone, I think, is my favorite part.
I want people to walk away with a sense of community and to feel like there's space for them. And it's so necessary, like this space is so necessary, even people who, I don't see them often because they're so busy helping the community, you know, like get out the vote, like stuff like that, or they're running their nonprofits, but they're here, they're helping, and I appreciate it.
This is Jamal Gray, this is Nag Champa Art Ensemble, and you're watching Garnish, episode Now. Portals, I guess the motivation behind it was building up traditions building up something that's constant where people could expect quality, good, progressive music on the regular. Because it's few and far between in DC, I feel like right now. There's a lot of stuff happening, but it's sporadic. There's no real traditions right now, so we're trying to cultivate that because we come from that lineage. It's not as much flash, it's not as much about hype or social media likes or any of that. It's really about putting the most progressive, interesting music that's originating from this area out.
Yeah. Kids with crowns coming soon. Hey, and this that real love that argue all day and we still hug. 5 mil later and we still love. Hold me like you hold your vice. Hold me like if I was tangible, you hold your life. Like Mary on that holy night. Try not to fall in it, but this a holy fight.
No one knows about our culture, you know what I'm saying, here in Maryland, in DC, you know what I'm saying, in Virginia. Like, no one knows our culture, no one knows our slang, so when they hear it for the first time, it's refreshing. You know, this is our first time our story's really been being told, you know, like, from niggas proud from being where they from. So I was in college, and that's when I was like, I felt like I was really good making music. I seen everyone back home was blowing up while I was in college. So I was just like, Matt, you know what I'm saying? Matt McGee, Dan Hannibal, Logic, Sir EU, Avion Andromeda, the best rapper to ever come out of DC. Kyle Ritz, King Rose, you know what I'm saying? He's Louis at the time. They was all just making noise, you know what I'm saying? And I felt like I was really talented. I was like, damn, fuck, what am I gonna do? So I would go home on weekends, and then the scene was already popping, and I was just trying to get my fit in. So I would, by the time it was time for me to perform, I would perform last, and like, I would kill it, but it'd be like 3 people in the stage, I mean, in the crowd. They'd be like, hey man, you did really good. I was like, thanks, bro. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it started for me, son.
Even when I'm chilling, and all I ever wanted to be was great, but niggas still treating me like a villain. But it never shake me up or break me up. If I'm just living the dream, to wake me up, erasing all these little things that make me up. God got me, mama pray me up, so I ain't worried about no question. Hey, I like everything.
2011, I was trying to, like, I had seen like a renaissance of like a bunch of like talented people in this area, and I was like we're all cool, we all like hang out and shit, we go to shows, support each other. Why don't we just like click up, like everybody click up and just be like in one big ass collective? And it was supposed to be more so like the new age native tongue. But getting all those people on one accord was way too difficult. So instead of it being a big thing, it got condensed. Mel had left the clan. I was coming out of the previous situation I was in. So we just was like, all right, we're gonna make this a thing. The name of it was Grammy Family, shortened it to Grand Fam. And we brought in Miles from Chess, Jalen. I had went to high school with him. We had been working together, so that's how he got in it. And so like after is the big house, and then in that house is Grand Fam, Ku Klux Klan, and Chess. So everybody's in like the same camp, but it's just like different branches of the camp.
You had to get in where you fit in though, you know what I'm saying? Like, you had to earn your spot for niggas to give you respect in the city, you know, when the underground was popping. Like, and none of the gatekeepers was giving us no chances, so we was just like, we gonna throw our own shows, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we threw our own shit. The clan, they threw their own shit, and then all the youth started with them.
I honestly think like people just got tired of just like waiting for to get booked and like not get booked, so it just basically do it yourself. Like everything is like you can research and learn different things if you just like sat and just was focused on what you want to accomplish. So I feel like it all started with like just friends like just saying, hey, I want to be a part of the show. How do I do this? I'm saying talk to the OGs, like OGs, hey, this is how you do this, because like everybody will share knowledge if you like ask the right questions. So that's pretty much how like everybody started doing shows.
It's the sweetest time when the sun got in and the
like more of a underground, everybody inclusive type of thing, whereas now it's more of a chance, I feel, to be broadcasted to more people who wouldn't understand that underground, like integral, like art, you know, like really down home artsy type of vibe.
So if you want to follow, you can follow this.
To say there's a renaissance would be to say that there's a rebirth, which means that something had to die. And it never really died. You know, it's been happening. It may not have been as publicized, or it may not have been as hyped as some things, but it's always culture happening in DC on all different levels.
I would agree for the Renaissance fact, just for the fact that it was a bit of a void in DC culture, and it still is, you know what I mean, bits and pockets. And I think Songbyrd fills that void, because Songbyrd provides a venue where, like, we got Luke Stewart having jazz shows, free jazz improvisation shows, Tuesday nights here, and then every other night you got something else. So like Songbyrd is one of those places where you can get with the management, you can get with the owners, you can get with the, you know, support team behind the people running it, and they'll work with you, you know, try to create a whole, like he's saying, like create a, you know, some sort of regular thing that can kind of support what you would say is like a renaissance.
Surrounded by like a whole bunch of talented people, so like I just see them as like my OGs, uncles, like the OGs, I classify them as all my uncles, like the clan, Grand fam, like everybody in After F, like Uptown, everybody from the Uptown Renaissance, like I consider them my OGs, because if it was for them, like DC wouldn't be as like progressive as it is now, for sure.
Where we at?
What I've been talking to people about is like shifting consumer culture in DC, because for a lot of people, music is like ornamental for them. So it's kind of like you have your DJ that goes along with your happy hour or whatever, or, you know, it's not as much about really coming out to absorb and to really be enthralled in like the creative process of what's going on. So it's like, let's shifting people's mindsets and shifting how people want to come and consume the art. I think that's been the biggest challenge, really.
I think that everyone is finally deciding that we don't need anyone else to stamp us. We can do it ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think everyone's deciding, let me stop recording them on my potato in my room, and I'm gonna go to the studio and treat my voice the way it should be treated and get people the best quality music that they deserve, you know what I'm saying? Like, that I deserve. And, you know, the world's hearing it. Everybody catching up, you know what I'm saying? Everybody stepping their flow up. It's a renaissance coming, and it's not gonna be long before you see us on the radio, and I mean on the TV and hear us on the radio as much as you hear any other artist. You know what I'm saying? Like, that go from Flop to Will to my man Lil Dude to Rest, you know what I'm saying, to Michael Doom, to EU. I ain't gonna shout out everybody, you know what I'm saying, like Chaz, even my man J.I.D.K., you know what I'm saying, even me, you know what I'm saying, Go Link. Like, it's not gonna be long for you here, it's all out here, you know what I'm saying?
Artists out here are putting more attention into like the quality of the music they're creating, and since music culture is becoming more global, then people aren't as afraid to experiment. And of course, with DC expanding, it's a lot more opportunities to make a living as an artist.